Buddhist wisdom for old age. Build a mind so strong it brings lasting peace. The quiet season within. There comes a time in life, not marked by birthdays or retirement parties, when something shifts deep inside. It doesn't arrive with noise or fanfare. It slips in quietly, like morning sunlight crawling across the floor. And suddenly, we begin to notice things differently. You may find yourself standing at the kitchen sink, hands warm in the water, eyes drifting out the window, wondering, where did the years go? Or sitting on the porch, listening not for answers, but for something softer. A feeling, a peace you can't quite name. This is not sadness, nor is it regret. It's a quiet turning inward. A recognition that strength no longer looks like ambition or endurance, but presence. That resilience isn't in pushing through the world, but in learning how to sit still within it. But let me ask you something. Something that might echo in your mind long after this video ends. Why is it that some people, even after immense loss, radiate peace, while others, crushed by smaller storms, struggle to breathe? Is it luck? Is it faith? Or is there something deeper? In this video, we'll walk a different path. Not the one of toughness or denial, but the Buddhist path of inner clarity, stillness, and the kind of strength that grows quietly like roots deep beneath the soil. So if you've ever whispered to yourself, there must be a better way to carry all of this, stay with me, because this journey is just beginning, and in the next chapter, we'll meet a teacher most of us try to avoid, yet one who holds the key to lasting peace. We spend so much of life trying to avoid pain. From the moment we're young, we're taught to fix it, mask it, distract from it. Skin your knee? Cover it up. Feel sad? Cheer up. Keep moving. Don't dwell. And for a time, maybe that works. But then life begins to deepen. People leave. Bodies change. Dreams soften or disappear. And suddenly, the strategies we once relied on, denial, avoidance, distraction, don't work anymore. Here's what the Buddha taught that few of us are ever told until we're ready to truly hear it. Suffering is not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something important is being revealed. You see, the Buddha spoke of two arrows. The first is the pain that life gives us. Loss, illness, betrayal. It strikes. It hurts. But the second arrow, that's the one we shoot ourselves. The one made of resistance, guilt, self-blame, fear. And often, that second wound cuts deeper than the first. Let me tell you about Meena. She was a widow in a quiet Thai village. Her husband passed away in his sleep, without warning. For months, she was haunted not only by grief, but by guilt. If only I had noticed. If only I had done more. She stopped eating. She couldn't sleep. The sorrow. But the self-punishment? That was the second arrow. One day, in despair, she visited a forest monastery. An old monk listened to her weep. And then, in a voice softer than the breeze, he said, "The river will carry you, but only if you stop clinging to the branch." That's the wisdom we forget. That pain is inevitable. But suffering, the kind we drag with us, replay endlessly and turn into identity, that's optional. In Buddhist teaching, dukkha, suffering, is not punishment. It's not failure. It's the path itself. The first noble truth says, there is suffering. But the truths that follow whisper something even more powerful. There's a cause, and there's an end. So when suffering arrives, and it will, don't push it away. Don't drown in it either. Instead, sit beside it. Offer it tea. Ask it gently, "What are you here to teach me?" Because here's the secret few speak aloud. Clay is not shaped without pressure. Steel is not strengthened without fire. And a wise, open heart is not born in ease, but through the willingness to meet pain without closing. And as we turn toward this teacher, suffering, we begin to build a kind of strength the world doesn't recognize, but the soul deeply craves. In the next chapter, we'll explore the most overlooked source of this strength. Not resistance, not control, but the sacred art of stillness. And you might be surprised just how powerful it is. There's an old saying, a calm sea never made a skilled sailor. And by now, you've likely sailed through more than a few storms. In youth, we try to outrun them, make plans, chase security, hold tightly to what we think will last. But slowly, life teaches us a truth we didn't ask for. We can't outrun the wind. So instead, we must learn to be still within it. Stillness in Buddhist practice is not passivity. It's not giving up or zoning out. It's the art of anchoring the mind, of remaining rooted even as the world sways around us. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." We don't stop the storm, but we train the mind not to be swept away by it. Take Raymond, a soft-spoken man in his 70s. After losing his wife of 42 years, the silence in his home was unbearable. He began to meditate, not to escape but to survive. At first, he could barely sit for 3 minutes. The tears came too quickly, the memories too loud. But breath by breath, he returned. Not to peace, not yet, but to presence. And slowly, something shifted. The grief didn't vanish, but it softened. It became a tide, rising and falling. Not a wave crashing uncontrollably. Stillness didn't erase the pain. It gave it a place to breathe. In Buddhist tradition, mindful breathing isn't just a wellness tool. It's a returning, a way to bring the wandering mind home. One full, conscious breath tells your nervous system, you are here. You are safe. You can meet this moment with clarity, not panic. You've probably noticed how monks walk slowly, deliberately. It's not laziness. It's wakefulness. Each step is a vow. I am here. I am alive. I will not rush through this gift of a day. You don't need a monastery. You don't need robes or rituals. Just a porch, a chair, a moment. Because here's the quiet miracle. The more you practice stillness in ordinary moments, the more it will find you in extraordinary ones. Like a well-worn forest path, the more you walk it, the easier it becomes to find, especially when you're lost. So next time life shakes, don't react. Don't reach for noise. Just breathe, listen, and trust that the silence within you is stronger than the storm outside. And when you can do that, when you begin to live from that silence, you no longer fear the world's chaos, because you've built your home in a place it can't reach. But even stillness needs a guide. And in our next step, we'll discover a misunderstood power that makes peace possible. Not motivation, but the quiet strength of gentle discipline. When we hear the word discipline, it often conjures images of strict rules, rigid routines, or even punishment. Something cold, something harsh. But from the Buddhist path, discipline is something entirely different. It's not about controlling the self. It's about caring for it. In Pali, the ancient language of the Buddha, the word is sila, one of the pillars of the Noble Eightfold Path. It means ethical conduct. But more than that, it means living in harmony with yourself, with the world, and with time. Now consider this. As we age, the outer structures of life begin to soften. There are fewer deadlines, fewer demands. The house gets quieter, but strangely, the inner world grows louder. Thoughts drift. Emotions rise uninvited. And without the rhythm that once came from family, work, or routine, many feel adrift. So what keeps us anchored? Not motivation, that comes and goes. Not willpower, that burns out. But presence, daily, deliberate presence. Let me tell you about Helen. She's 84 now, a former schoolteacher. Every morning at 6:30, she wakes up, washes her face with cold water, lights a candle at her kitchen table, and sits silently with a cup of tea for 15 minutes. She speaks to no one, just breathes, watches the light shift in the room. I once asked her why. She smiled gently and said, "I don't do it because I have to. I do it because it reminds me who I am." That's the essence of gentle discipline. Not effort for the sake of effort, but a quiet returning to what matters most. The Buddha never asked us to conquer mountains. He simply said, walk mindfully, speak kindly, act with care, and do it again tomorrow. Too often, we wait for the right mood to begin something meaningful. But moods, like clouds, come and go. Discipline is the earth beneath your feet. It's brushing your teeth with presence, folding laundry with care, pausing before you speak. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more we follow through, especially when it's hard, the more trust we build with ourselves. That's not just routine. That's power. The kind that whispers, I will not abandon myself. So if your days feel scattered, if you wake unsure of where to begin, don't wait for clarity. Create it. One breath, one act, one loving ritual at a time. Kindness is the fragrance that lingers long after you've left the room. It softens not only the lives of others, but also the hardened edges within you. And yet, there is another form of self-love equally powerful, not expressed in words, but through movement, not spoken, but felt. Because the way you move through the world is the way you dance with life. As we grow older, we often expect that wisdom will come naturally, that age will somehow smooth the edges of our suffering. And in many ways, it does. We become more patient, more aware, more accepting. But strangely, some of the most harmful patterns don't shout. They whisper. They stay. They show up in small, familiar forms. Habits so subtle we barely notice them. But left unchecked, they slowly erode the foundation of our inner peace. So what are they? From a Buddhist lens, letting go is not an act of force. It's an act of compassion. It's not rejecting what we feel, but releasing what we've outgrown. With kindness, not guilt. Let's begin with the first. Complaining. We all need to vent sometimes. It's human. But when complaining becomes a reflex, a lens through which we see the world, something dangerous happens. We train the mind to look for what's wrong. And what we focus on, we amplify. The Buddha said, what you dwell upon, you become. Letting go of complaining doesn't mean pretending things are fine. It means shifting our energy from blame to awareness, from helplessness to choice. Ask instead, what can I learn? What can I do? And if the answer is nothing, then let it go. Not out of denial, but from clarity. The second, the pursuit of comfort. This one is tricky, especially in later life. We feel we've earned ease, and in many ways we have. But too much comfort becomes a cage. Growth lives just beyond what's easy. That's why monks rise before dawn, eat simply, walk barefoot. not to suffer, but to stay awake. For us, it may look like choosing to walk an extra block, or facing the difficult conversation we've delayed for years. It doesn't have to be extreme, just intentional. And third, excuses. They wear many disguises. I'm too old to change. That's just how I've always been. But beneath them often lies fear. Fear of failure, of effort, of becoming a beginner again. Yet Buddhism teaches everything changes, unless we cling. So gently ask yourself, what am I still holding that no longer brings peace? What habit, thought, or story is asking to be released? Not in shame, but in freedom? Because here's the quiet miracle. When you truly let go, you'll feel it. Not just in your thoughts, but in your breath, your body, your being. A space opens. A softening begins. As if your mind, for the first time in years, can finally breathe again. And in this new spaciousness, something beautiful can grow. In the next part, we'll meet a silent companion many of us fear, failure, and learn how Buddhist wisdom can transform it from enemy into fertile soil. Somewhere along the road of life, after the heartbreak, the missed opportunity, the job that ended too soon, we begin to shrink, not always in body but in spirit. We stop trying new things. We silence our ideas before they leave our lips. We tell ourselves, I should know better by now. I'm too old to make mistakes. And so, fear wears a new face. It doesn't look like panic anymore. It looks like hesitation, like settling, like silence. But here's what Buddhist wisdom reminds us. Failure is not the opposite of growth. It is its soil. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, even so, the wise are not affected by praise or blame. Because both, praise and failure, are fleeting. They're not who we are. They're just passing clouds. What matters is the sky behind them. Let me introduce you to Luis. He's 67, retired from years of honest work as a mechanic in New Mexico. One day, after retirement, he felt restless. His hands were used to creating, fixing. But his heart whispered something new, paint. He'd never picked up a brush before. His neighbors laughed. His first attempts? Messy, uneven, humbling. But Luis didn't walk away. He told me, every time the brush slips, I tell myself, that means I'm learning. In that one sentence, he shifted the entire game. He turned failure into fuel, doubt into doorway. That's the quiet power of mindfulness. It changes the question from, what if I fail? To, what might I learn? Even the Buddha, before his awakening, sat under the Bodhi tree facing doubt, exhaustion, temptation. He didn't resist those things. He understood. They are not interruptions on the path. They are the path. Growth doesn't move in straight lines. It spirals, loops back, falls down, stands up again. And for those of us further along in years, we may think we have fewer chances left. But that's not true. This is the most sacred time to begin again. Because now, we're wise enough to know that failure doesn't define us. It refines us. So next time your heart nudges you toward something new, and the voice says, but what if I fail? Whisper back, then I will grow. Because broken soil is where seeds take root. And your life, no matter how many chapters have been written, is still unfolding, still in bloom. And as we continue, we'll discover that true strength. Find that less isn't loud or flashy. It's the quiet current beneath everything, and it's waiting to be remembered. In a world that glorifies volume, where power is measured by presence and influenced by how loudly you speak. It's easy to forget. True strength doesn't roar. It glows. It's not the person who dominates a room or wins the argument. It's the one who listens without needing to reply, who feels deeply but doesn't flinch, who walks into the storm with calm, not weapons. There's a powerful image in Buddhist thought. A candle in a quiet room. It doesn't chase away darkness with force. It simply burns. Steady. Unwavering. You may have met someone like that. An elder who doesn't speak often, but when they do, every head turns. Not because of charisma, but because of clarity. Because their words come from depth, not ego. Let me tell you about Tenzin. She's a Buddhist nun who lived through the trauma of exile. Forced to leave her homeland, her community, and many she loved behind. She lost everything the world calls important. But when asked what she feared most during that time, she didn't say loss. She didn't say pain. She said, I was afraid I might lose my compassion. That to the strength. Not the kind built in gyms or battlefields, but the kind born in silence. In heartbreak that refuses to close the heart. In Buddhist practice, this is equanimity. A mind undisturbed by gain or loss, praise or blame, pleasure or pain. Not because we don't feel, but because we've stopped clinging. Like the ocean. No matter how wild the waves above. We've been taught to believe that showing emotion is weakness. That staying calm in the face of cruelty is surrender. That walking away means defeat. But the truth? The strongest person in the room is often the one who chooses not to fight. Not from fear, but from wisdom. The Buddha said, hatred does not cease by hatred, but by love. This is the eternal rule. To love in the face of anger, to remain soft in the face of pain, that requires more courage than any sword. So next time you're criticized, misunderstood, provoked, ask yourself, what would strength look like if it didn't need to prove itself? You may find it looks like silence, or a soft smile, or the dignity of walking away. Because real power doesn't chase control. It doesn't react. It responds. It surrenders. Not in defeat, but in grace. And in our final step, we'll return to where this journey quietly began. With the truth that transformation isn't built on flashes of inspiration, but the slow fire of devotion. It's not motivation, but daily, loving discipline that lights the way. There are mornings, especially as we grow older, when even lifting the covers feels heavy. The knees ache, the sky looks gray, or maybe it's just the quiet voice inside whispering, "What's the point today?" And yet, on other mornings, we rise with clarity, purpose, lightness. But here's the truth Buddhist practice gently reveals. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a companion. Motivation comes and goes, like weather. But discipline? That's the rhythm of presence. A quiet vow to keep showing up, especially when it's hard. Buddhism speaks of right effort, not as striving but as steady return. Not pushing through pain, but moving with care. Doing the small thing with great mindfulness. Let me share with you the story of Susan. She's 72, a widow who once dreamed of writing a memoir. But for years, she told herself, "I'm too tired, too distracted, too late." Until one day, she made a promise. Not to finish a book, but to write one paragraph each morning after tea. Some days, her arthritis made typing painful. Some days, the words wouldn't come. But she sat, and she wrote. Not because she felt inspired, but because she was honoring her voice, even when it trembled. 1 year later, she held a manuscript in her hands. That's what discipline looks like. Not grand, not heroic, but sacred. Discipline is love made visible. It's how we care for our lives, not just when they feel bright, but especially when they feel dim. The Buddha himself didn't awaken through bursts of passion. He sat every day through hunger, temptation, fatigue, not to become superhuman, but to become fully human. So ask yourself gently, what would my life become? Not if I waited for motivation, but if I simply began? Not perfectly, not impressively, just consistently. One breath, one act, one moment of care. Because here's the truth that brings this entire journey full circle. Peace isn't something we stumble into. It's something we build. With intention, with tenderness, and with the quiet discipline to keep returning, again and again, to what matters most. Before you go, take just one moment. Place a hand on your heart. Feel the breath move through you, not as a habit, but as a gift. You don't need to change everything. You don't need to become someone else. You only need to remember who you've always been beneath the noise. This journey we've walked together wasn't about adding more. It was about letting go of fear, of restlessness, of old stories that no longer fit. It was about learning to sit beside your suffering, to honor your stillness, and to trust in the quiet strength that's always been yours. And now, dear friend, if this message touched something true in you, if you felt a softening, a remembering, a little light flicker in the stillness, don't let it fade. Let this be not the end, but the beginning, a quiet turning inward, a soft return. And if you'd like to keep walking this path of Buddhist wisdom, self-compassion, and sacred presence, then I invite you, subscribe to the Mindful Sip, not just to a channel, but to a space, a sanctuary, a home for your heart. Share this with someone whose soul could use stillness. Leave a comment below. I'd love to know, what are you ready to let go of? And what are you finally ready to embrace? Until we meet again, be well, be at peace, and may your days be guided, not by noise, but by the quiet strength of your own awakened mind.